Hey everybody, it's Judy Cohen, and this is Wake Up Call 513. So I'm in London, and in an hour, I'm going to go and meet with Elizabeth Rimmer, and Elizabeth is the chief executive of Law Care. And Law Care is the organization in the UK, you might know about it if you are familiar, that offers support for all the lawyers in the UK, including mindfulness support. So I'm really interested to hear what they're up to. And yeah, I'll report back. So let's go to the third step on the Noble Eightfold Path, or the third one in the way that I'm organizing the path just for this series, which is wise concentration. And we've looked at wise effort and wise mindfulness. And wise concentration is the third of these three samadhi steps of the path, or the elements of settling and focusing the mind. So, and I've studied and practiced concentration formally only a little bit. So I know just a tiny little bit, and then I only know about the precursors to the fully concentrated states, only the first precursor to that. And those fully concentrated states, you might have heard the word jhana. I've heard the word too, but I don't know what that is. And it's like a little bit like a secret society. So I can't really say much about the jhanas, but I'll share what I know about just basic concentration. Um, and the way that sharing seems organized in my mind, or the way that wise concentration breaks down for me, uh, is in terms of the how, or the instruction, like what are we doing in order to move the mind to a more concentrated state, and then in terms of the benefits. So first, the how, or the instruction for basic concentration, relax. That's the whole instruction, pretty much. Um, which sure surprised me when I first heard about it. Um, but once I tried it actually made perfect sense. So perfect sense, but not if you're thinking about the concentration that most of us learned in law school or college, or from our parents, or what I was taught anyway, before I'd ever heard about wise anything, right? Was that concentration was when my mind was kind of locked down on something, or drilling down into something, or bearing down on something, which makes sense for work and for some other things too. And I don't know about you, but I've had lots of moments of that kind of concentration. Um, uh, Writing these crazy 100-page leases and reviewing pleadings, and or doing the 2 a.m. woulda coulda shoulda rumination dance, right? um, so doing what I was taught and locking my mind down onto something, or in the case of rumination, watching the mind get locked onto something, right? um, which, at least in the case when I'm trying for that kind of concentration, can be really important to know how to do. I couldn't have gotten through even one of those leases without it, right? But that's not wise concentration, not what is meant by wise concentration on this path. Wise concentration is it's totally different, and it's actually the opposite. So it really is about relaxing the mind, and also the body, and paying attention without that bearing down energy, right? So I was taught to do this by paying attention to the sensation of the breath at one particular point where the air flows over the top of the upper lip, but there are probably other ways too. Um, but it's paying attention in this light, easeful, relaxed way. So if you've done this practice, um, you know how interesting it is to pay attention like that, or to do your best anyway. And then to notice where there's still tightness in the body, or where tightness arises, where there's tightness in the mind. And how interesting it is when you see that to let go, over and over and over, just a little bit more each time. And how interesting it is to see when you do that, the mind kind of coming together in this gentle and stable way. For me, so far in my practice, there have been really few greater moments of ease than those when the mind lets go of all the busyness, all the emotionality, all the grasping and clinging and desire and aversion, and just rests, right? Stable and easeful and concentrated. In my case, on the breath at the upper lip, and I think many of us have learned that. So that's what I can tell you about the how, or that's as much of an instruction as I can offer. And also people who teach concentration are authorized by their concentration teachers to teach that. So I'm not authorized to do that at all, but I'm just sharing what I know. Um, Other than I would say one other thing, which is that um, the practice for me is a kind of a conditioning that feels like it's a conditioning of nurture and a condition of love. So it's a very loving practice, which points to the two possibilities wise concentration has to offer, and one of which is that the concentrated mind is just resting in the present moment. It's not grasping or clinging or averting or hating or sleepy or jumpy or anxious or it's not even doubting the importance of letting go of all the doing and just being. It's not doing any of those things. The concentrated mind is free for the moments that it's concentrated, free of all those stressors, free of the hindrances in the mind, or you could say free of suffering. Um, Not in a permanent sense, which is why I'm saying for the moments that it's concentrated, right? Because nothing lasts. Of course, we know that. Even on longer concentration retreats, what I can report of my, again, very basic concentration practice is that it's there and then gone, there maybe a little more sustainably, gone, and so on. And then less accessible after the retreat or as the time goes by after the retreat, but also over time, um, more and more available to summon up into practice, right? To intentionally sit down and practice. And what's available? What's available really is peace. Um, Peace, which is not only a beautiful thing, right? But it's also such a relief, right? Given our world. But it doesn't equate with being unaffected, right? We live in the world. We see a lot as lawyers. We care a lot as lawyers, as humans. And the things we see and care about and the humans we see and care about, they touch us, they impact us. So we're not unaffected. In fact, the opposite, there's compassion, which is great. It's what we want, it's what we're pointing at. But the difference is we're not shaken by what we see, right? This concentrated mind, the conditioning of concentrating the mind, stabilizing the mind, means that we can bear the world, and that's the difference. The heart is touched, moved even to tears, but the concentrated mind remains non-reactive and quiet and stable. All of which gives rise to the second possibility of wise concentration, which is that the quiet, stable mind is the mind that's open to insight, right? Insight into the fact that it's not this challenging world and the people in it that cause us to suffer. It's the way we relate to all of that, right? Insight into the impermanent nature of everything as a reassuring understanding. And insight into the ways we're completely interconnected. I mean, look, here we are, interconnected, continents apart, but also in so many other ways. And so the only alternative is to bring as much love to each moment as we possibly can. So the first possibility of wise concentration is freedom, and the second is insight, which makes it a worthwhile practice, as far as I can tell. So let's sit, and I'll share this very teeny tiny droplet of basic information about what I know about how to dip dip the toes into this practice. And if this doesn't feel resonant for you, or you have another practice that is better, please do whatever is best for you.